Bow and staff. Molotov. Okay, so I got to get 3 rapid kills without dying. And I should unlock that easy diamond for the staff, because I ended off with gold, if I'm correct. And I gotta get the power drill next. Yeah, I ended off with gold. Okay. Super, I have already started the stream and I'm getting into match right now.
Keep your
Sniper.
HPT alive and hunt the enemies down. HPT under fire. Repeat, HPT under fire. Our HPT has been eliminated. Friendly HPT on site. Keep them safe. HPT is taking fire. Keep the package safe.
I already grabbed someone and killed them like that. That was a salty move. Man, I am already going to go ahead and do this. Oh, come from the back.
HPT under fire. Repeat, HPT under fire. They got our HPT. We took out their HPT. Protect our HPT. On site.
2 for 1. And sniped
HPT
one.
Is down. HPT is taking fire. Keep the package safe. Hostile HPT located. Our HPT has been eliminated. Friendly HPT on site. Keep them safe.
That's another.
Took out their HPT.
I shouldn't go for that snipe.
Enemy HPT on site. Take them out. HPT under fire. Repeat, HPT under fire.
You electric little rats.
You're under citizen's arrest for unauthorized.
I burned myself to death on accident.
That changed my
Wait, an
Saturday,
idiot.
my weekend, and possibly my blood pressure for life. I was standing in my own backyard, flipping burgers in peace, when 3 wannabe stormtroopers in matching polos and cheap sunglasses marched up, followed closely by the one-woman HOA regime herself, Karen Bell. I wasn't surprised. She always did. Rain or shine, there was a moment of joy happening in the neighborhood. Karen would find
HPT under fire. Repeat, HPT under fire. Our HPT has been eliminated. Enemy HPT is down.
Security. Watch as they actually tried to cuff me on my own. That would have been hilarious if it wasn't also a felony. The day had started like any other small town Saturday. After 5 days of paperwork, patrols, and breaking up the speed over everything from barking dogs to birdwatching, I finally had a moment to breathe. marinated my ribs, cut the grill, even set out sweet tea for the neighbors. A couple of local kids rode their bikes past and waved. Peaceful, normal, until the microphone switched from across the street and Karen's nasal voice rang out like the second coming of doom.
Hostile
Attention,
HVT located.
residents of Valley Oak. The HOA block safety event is now in effect. All unauthorized activities must be removed. I looked over the fence and saw a full-blown stage set up near the cul-de-sac. Karen, dressed in what could only be described as tactical yoga wear, complete with a utility belt, held a clipboard, a whistle, and what I swear was a pepper spray bottle labeled Americans. She strutted around like she was commanding a paramilitary unit. Behind her were three youths, Brad, Todd, and the third one I never remember, wearing shirts that read Valley Oak Tactical Team. I'd seen mall security with more training. They were standing near golf carts painted to look like SWAT vehicles, with flashing LED lights, duct taped. I knew right away something stupid was coming, but I underestimated just how stupid. My grill had committed an unforgivable.
And I got knocked to HVT.
According to Karen, smoke had violated air quality thresholds and determined by the HOA's new clean living protocol. I laughed, out loud. That didn't help. Karen marched over to my fence and screamed, "You've been warned before.
Enemy
Your smoke
HVT on
is
site.
affecting
Take
the
them out.
designated safe breathing
HVT
zone
under
for our
fire.
block."
Repeat, HVT
I
under
calmly
fire.
informed her that I wasn't under her HOA's jurisdiction, that my house was
Your head
built
down and secure
decades
the
before
target.
Valley Oak existed.
Our HVT
And I
has
had
been
to
eliminated.
She ignored
We
every
took out
word.
their HVT.
That's when it escalated.
Friendly HVT
Karen
on site.
pulled out her
Keep them
radio,
safe.
yes, a full walkie-talkie, and said, "This is
Hostile
you.
HVT located.
Suspect resisting compliance at Lot 12.
HVT is
Request
taking
back.
fire. Keep the package
Prepare
safe.
for detainment."
Enemy
I
HVT is
No.
I
down.
looked behind me,
No.
wondering if maybe someone else was doing something wild.
Enemy
No,
HVT on site.
it was
Take
just
them out.
me, in my backyard, holding a spatula. 10 minutes later, the golf cart
Okay.
convoy rolled up. It had flashing lights, a siren that sounded like a dying goose, and Brad holding what appeared to be plastic handcuffs.
We took out their HVT.
Step away from
HVT
me.
under fire.
Place your
Repeat,
hands where we
HVT
can
under
see
fire.
them. I wasn't sure
Hostile
if I should
HVT
laugh
located.
or call the action.
They got our
But
HVT.
considering I am the actual police, I opted for the former. I introduced
You are
myself politely.
HVT. Stay alert.
Sheriff Luke.
GG! GG! Didn't get the diamond camo this round.
Something about this being above his pay grade. But Karen snapped her fingers and shouted, "Do it!"
What?
He's impersonating a law enforcement officer to avoid HOA accountability. And just like that, they moved in. Before I could even reach for my badge, Brad zip-tied my hands. Zip-tied, I might add. Walked me toward the driveway like he just apprehended a fugitive. I didn't even raise my voice. It was right on cue. My patrol car pulled around the corner. Inside were Deputy Maria and Deputy Rick, both wide-eyed
Kitties,
and stunned as they saw
please
their
stop
sheriff
climbing my
being
chair.
crushed by three men in
Oh, my kittens are climbing my chair!
Brad froze. Karen stepped forward. like
Grandpa,
she was
is there any
about to
kittens under my
address the
stall?
United Nations. Officer, you're just in time. We're making a citizen's arrest of this individual, who is a danger to neighborhood unity and
How much
care,
kills did I get for the
Rick stepped
the
out
staff
slowly,
camo?
looked at me,
Who's that?
and looked at the tactical team. Karen, I said, you might want to stop talking now. She didn't.
Half
She
so far,
launched
so I'm
into a
gonna
speech
switch
about
out to
community values,
speed.
legal precedents she found on Reddit, and some nonsense about a local HOA being above county law. It was a masterclass in confident
The
ignorance.
speed
By now,
boost.
a crowd had formed. Phones were
Then
out. My ribs were
concentration.
burning on the.
Leave my chair alone,
God, is
cats.
this real? Another said, is this one of those hidden camera pranks? Rick gently stepped forward, removed the cuffs from my wrists, and handed them back to Brad.
But how did I get
Just detained Nuketown?
Nuketown? I
the sheriff,
didn't have that
said
selected in my
Brad
maps.
looked like he was going to faint. Karen, on the other hand, doubled down. He's a threat to neighborhood peace. I don't care what badge he has. Then came the fatal mistake. Karen reached for her clipboard, rifled
My cats
through
won't leave me
papers, and
alone.
handed me a citation. It read, Violation 5B.
Beast, welcome
Weaponized
in.
barbecue emissions. I held it up for the crowd. Weaponized. What now? Maria coughed to hide a laugh. Rick didn't even try. He leaned against the cruiser, shaking his head.
I'm gonna test that sniper out for a little.
To have a serious conversation, Karen. But she wasn't done. You'll be hearing from our legal team. You may be sheriff now.
I'm gonna
but
test out your
HOA
sniper.
elections are coming. She pointed a finger dramatically, as if she was on a soap opera finale. That was the moment it
One
became
shot.
clear. This wasn't just about me grilling ribs. Karen had declared war, and she was ready to bring in every fake badge, printed charter, and golf cart
One
commando
shot.
in her arsenal to
Good
take
luck.
me down. Unfortunately for her, I had
I'm gonna have to
something
use a sniper more
powerful than all
often.
of that. The law.
But first,
And
let's
this
get
time,
diamond
I
on
wasn't just
my
flipping burgers.
boat,
I
my
was
staff,
flipping
and
the
then
whole
I'm gonna
damn
use the
script.
sniper for a little,
Brad and his band
and then
of
work on
Indian warriors
the
shuffled awkwardly under the
skateboard. I
weight
gotta
of their
quickly
own
switch and kill
stupidity.
someone with
Standing
it.
in the middle of my driveway,
Oh my god, I just spawned in.
Now hold it.
Karen was still
The lead
puffed
is
up
ours.
like a peacock on
Enemy
parade.
HVT is down.
Convinced she just
HVT is taking
threat
fire.
to her
Keep the
precious
package
block
safe.
party. Meanwhile,
They've taken the
my
lead.
deputies were doing
Our
everything
HVT
short
has
of
been
bursting
eliminated.
into laughter. Maria
Protect our
leaned against the
HVT.
cruiser with a hand over her
HVT
mouth,
under fire. Repeat,
pretending to write
HVT under
something
fire.
down just so she
We've
could
taken the
explode.
lead. Stay on
Rick,
task.
on the other hand, gave Brad a long look that could have broken. The zip ties had left marks on my wrists, but I wasn't angry.
Hostiles reclaimed the
No,
lead.
I was something far more dangerous to a person like Karen. I was amused.
Enemy HVT
Karen
on
wasn't
site.
done.
Take them out.
Her clipboard was now her
given up the
weapon of
lead.
choice. She
They got
began
our
flipping
HVT.
and loudly
You knife and little rat, stop camping your
was
base.
the HOA's community.
I'm the HVT now, ain't I?
Section 14, Article 2 states that
The
shall
other.
not operate political machinery, including drills,
took out their
lawnmowers,
HVT.
or explosives.
You knife and little rat.
Events without prior clearance from the event's coordinator.
Hostile
looked
HVT
directly
located.
Put down the darn
Friendly
knife.
Nodded
HVT on
slowly
site.
and
Keep them
glanced at
safe.
Rick, who was now openly filming her with his phone. Good, I said.
I'm gonna start sniping
We
myself.
have certain
Enemy
Yeah,
HVT
of course.
is down.
In fact, the attention seemed to fuel her. She turned to the growing crowd and shouted,
Enemy
"This
HVT
man
on
refuses to
site.
follow
Take them out.
basic community guidelines.
HVT is taking fire.
He's
Keep the package
endangering our
safe.
unity.
Our HVT has been
Grilled
eliminated.
chicken without registering
You gotta be kidding
protein
me. This is
type."
gonna be the most annoying game ever.
Protect our
That last
HVT.
sentence drew me
HVT under fire. Repeat, HVT under fire.
unraveling
Took out their
in real
HVT.
time, and it was glorious. That's when I decided to
Hostile
end the search.
HVT located.
I
Bro.
stepped forward, reached into my back pocket,
They got our
pulled out my
HVT.
wallet. Slowly, deliberately, I held up my badge. My name is Sheriff Luke Myers.
Friendly
I'm the
HVT on
elected
site.
law
Keep them
enforcement
safe.
official of this county. You are not above the law. And detaining me on my own property under a
HVT is
fake
taking
code
fire.
from a
Keep the
homemade
package
binder,
safe.
that's called unlawful detainment. I paused for effect, and the neighborhood went dead silent.
Enemy
Which
HVT
is a
is
crime.
down.
Karen's eyes widened like she just realized she'd walked into an
Enemy
ambush
HVT
of
on
her own.
site. Take them out.
You're bluffing.
You tomahawk throwing.
You're trying
Wait
to
a minute.
You
Oh
have the
wait.
right to protect this neighborhood.
Our HVT
The
has been
bylaws.
eliminated.
There are no bylaws that override county, state, or
Yeah.
federal law, I said, stepping forward. You can't impersonate police. You can't detain a citizen unless you're witnessing a felony in progress.
Oh flip, that might be a YouTuber. That might be fuck.
Security to
I might be screwed. That might be a YouTuber in my game.
crowd started murmuring.
I might not be the
Some
only
neighbors began
YouTuber.
whispering to each other. Others shaking their heads. One guy in the back muttered,
Cause I just got trick shot by someone with a tomahawk, so I'm guessing it's gonna most likely be a YouTuber. Cause when it's like that, then it's kind of like a viral YouTuber.
The illusion of power was starting to crack. Karen saw it too. Her voice rose in panic. He's trying to discredit me. It's personal.
Friendly
He
HVT
doesn't
on
want me
site.
to
Keep
clean
them
up this
safe.
community. Her eyes scanned the crowd, looking for someone, anyone, to back her up. But the support was fading fast. Even Brad was slowly inching his way toward the golf cart, like he might just disappear if he sat still. I
HVT
turned
is
to
taking
Rick.
fire. Keep the
Deputy,
package safe.
please issue a citizen's notice for impersonating law enforcement and unlawful detainment. start gathering statements. You're opening a file. Karen gasped. You can't open a file. I'm not a criminal.
I might have screwed myself this game.
Rick moved toward her, calm and firm. Karen started backing up. You're harassing me. This is harassment. I'll file a
HPT
grievance.
under fire. Repeat,
She turned to her
HPT under
security
fire.
crew. Aren't you
They got
going to
my
do
HPT.
something? Dad scratched his head and replied, I think
You
I
are
left my
HPT.
taser.
Stay alert.
I mean flashlight. I think I'm going home. She was flailing. Her entire power structure was built on fear
Step it
and
up.
fake regulations. Collapsed
Enemy
in
HPT
real
is
time.
down.
The audience had turned into witnesses. Some had even started recording. I didn't have to
Enemy
raise my
HPT on
voice.
site.
I
Take them
didn't
out.
have to wave my badge
Friendly
around.
HPT on site.
The
Keep
truth
them
was
safe.
finally loud.
I might have earbuds and I ain't saying it was like chips opening.
Emergency meeting Karen had
I
called
need to get
to
kills. Run. Yeah.
It was held at the clubhouse, a gaudy little building with beige
Hello.
inspirational
Rest and
quotes
repeat.
framed in
Tomorrow
cheap
you'll be
plastic.
running drills
Karen
until
took
you
the
drop.
usual seat at the center, flanked by when she motioned for me to speak. I stood up with a single sheet of paper. This was my property.
Thank you.
It clearly shows my home was built in 1995. Your HOA was founded in 2004, which means you have... That's legal fact. Karen sputtered. Well, maybe not your property, but your behavior. My behavior? I interrupted. Let's talk about that. You authorized an illegal detainment. You've misused HOA funds to create an unauthorized security team. And based on what I've heard from neighbors, you've issued citations for everything from sidewalk chalk to birthday balloons, all without legal authority. One of the board members finally spoke up. Is that true, Karen? About the security budget. That's when a woman from the crowd stood up and raised her hand. I work in accounting. Last year, the HOA budget devoted $45,000 into a
Let's see how this match goes.
neighborhood protection and
Another round.
that includes the golf carts.
Now, if it's like the hold the stance and stuff, I'm gonna have to use a sniper.
At Brad's house, which, by the way, included
Yep,
meals
that's
and
in my
water.
background.
Gasps filled the
Rob.
room. Karen looked like she'd just been smacked with a frozen fish. Those were operational costs, she shouted.
If you're listening to that, then you're
For
fine.
hard help. The board members
I know he's probably listening
were
it too.
opening a full review of the budget, effective immediately.
Super, are
Karen
you
stood
listening
up.
to it?
You can't do this. I'm the president. But it was too late. The room had turned. The power was gone. I walked outside
Overdrive.
with a sense of calm I
CIA,
hadn't
you're
felt
cleared
all
hot.
day.
Work your
The
presence.
wind had picked up slightly, carrying the smell of charred ribs from my backyard. The sun was beginning to set. I passed a few neighbors on the way to my car. One of them clapped me on the back and said, "We should have voted you a long time ago." I laughed. I'm already the sheriff. That's enough paperwork for one life. But even as I left, I knew this wasn't over. Karen wasn't the type to back down. She faced power again and come back swinging, more unpredictable. The next steps wouldn't be about barbecue dispute. The next step would be peel back layers of corruption and crazy that ran much deeper than a block party. And I was ready, because she'd made one mistake that would haunt her from this day forward. She'd tried to arrest the wrong neighbor. For a few days, things got quiet in Valley Oaks. Karen had gone underground, figuratively, not literally, though I wouldn't have been surprised if she was hiding in some HOA-funded panic in Brad's garage. The once overly aggressive security patrols vanished. The golf carts stopped cruising the sidewalks like discount armored vehicles. Residents, for the first time in months, actually smiled at one another at the mailbox. It should have felt like a victory, but in my line of work, peace that comes too easily always means a storm's brewing right behind you. While Karen licked her wounds and schemed whatever nonsense came next, officially, it wasn't even an investigation. Not on paper. But I'd seen enough in that budget revelation, and from the whispers, I was now hearing around the community to know there was more beneath the surface. wake up one day and start impersonating law enforcement unless they've spent a long time building a false kingdom to hide something real. So I started asking quiet questions. I visited a few homes in the neighborhood, folks I'd met before while responding to noise complaints or neighborly squabbles, and started collecting stories. What I heard made my blood boil. One woman, a retired school teacher, said Karen fined her for having a flagpole that exceeded HOA height restrictions. Never mind that the flag in question was her late husband's military banner, and the pole had been standing for over 20 years. Another resident admitted to paying 3 separate compliance penalties to avoid having his driveway repainted each time with the penalty. He thought it was strange, but Karen always threatened legal action or property. And perhaps worst of all, a single mother with 2 kids shared that she had been issued an emergency noise violation for a birthday party, an offense that conveniently came with a resolution of $300, payable only in cash. None of it was traceable, and worst of all, most of the residents were too scared or confused to fight it. HOA rules, after all, are notoriously vague and overwhelming. People assumed Karen knew what she was doing, but the truth was, she knew exactly how to exploit the cracks between policy and actual law. And that's where I begin. A few nights later, I got a call from a young tech guy in the neighborhood, Jason. He'd been on the fence about getting involved until he noticed something odd. He had recently installed his own home surveillance system, and while testing some new software, he picked up an unfamiliar signal, a drone. It had been flying a grid pattern over several homes, including mine. Curious, I asked if he could track where it originated. Jason grinned and invited me over. What he showed me was chilling. The drone wasn't a toy. It had an onboard mic, GPS routing, and real-time streaming capabilities. Jason pulled up a folder of saved footage, and there it was. Clear video of his backyard, followed by another clip where I was on my own porch having a call with one of our DEA contacts. The audio wasn't crystal clear, but the tech was enough to send alarm bells ringing in my head. That wasn't neighborhood watch behavior. That was surveillance, possibly illegal surveillance, conducted without consent or permit. I thanked Jason and asked him to save every file, every log, and every signal. Then I took the evidence to county legal. It didn't take long to confirm what I suspected. If Karen or her security team had operated that drone, she'd just crossed into federal territory, intercepting or recording communications, especially law enforcement communications. Without clearance, that was a felony. And suddenly, our little community drama had turned into something far more serious. I met with Internal Affairs the next morning and handed everything over. They were interested in me, but they needed more. Specifically, financial documentation that could tie the drone purchases and other HOA expenses directly to Karen's personal deal. So I called in a favor from someone who had every budget file. Julie, or Trent. She had kept her head down for years, intimidated by Karen. But when she heard about the drone, she didn't hesitate. We met at a local diner. She came with a flash drive and a look of quiet fury. I should have done this months ago, she always said if we crossed her, she'd ruin us. I have kids. I couldn't take the risk. I promised her protection. I promised she'd done the right thing. Then I slid the drive into my laptop and opened the folder. There were spreadsheets, payment histories, and emails. The HOA had authorized purchases for equipment labeled Community Beautification and the Neighborhood Outreach Center. In reality, these were cover-ups for surveillance hardware, fake badge printing, even a line item called
I'm getting whooped.
Brad had apparently taken a previous tactical workshop table with HOA money, complete with pictures of him posing next to a cardboard cutout labeled Hostile Grill Operator. The paper trail was damaged, and so was the email thread. Karen had sent messages to the board about needing to collect actionable intel on the sheriff before he
knew where I was.
That was it. That was the thread that broke the whole thing open. With county legal and the district attorney now on board.
Darn RPG, put down the RPG. You didn't know you used that. Disappointing.
The full audit was scheduled. Submitted a warrant for property search, specifically targeting the HOA office and Karen's residence. I was careful not to leave the raid.
Jeez, down the rocket launcher.
As the real uniforms rolled in. Unmarked vehicles, forensics units, the drone task force team from the city.
No, this person's using a rocket launcher now. His teammates using darn SMGs.
Still holding a coffee mug that said,
I'm over here using a sniper rifle. I'm normally
authorization. She went pale as boxes were carried out, files, hard drives, documents. Neighbors watched from their lawns like it was the 4th of July. People clapped. Someone yelled, "We love you, Sheriff," and handed me a breakfast taco. Even Brad, who had clearly defected.
Bro, I literally mainly sniped. I didn't use no melees because how sweaty these people was. It was overdrive.
Not yet. The evidence would go to court, and Karen would get her chance to explain it all. But now the tables had turned. The sheriff who tried to embarrass was now the investigator holding every receipt, every email, every ounce of proof that her little empire was built on lies. And the best part,
I get a little more.
This wasn't about revenge.
Grandpa.
It was about
a little more.
Because when someone tries to turn a community into their personal fiefdom, it's not enough to take away their power. You have to show everyone exactly
that kitten's begging for some chips.
How you took it back. The raid on the HOA office wasn't flashy. There were no battering rams, no shouts of go, 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 just calm, methodical precision. The type of operation that doesn't look exciting from the outside, but devastates the subject within. Karen had tried to block it, of course. She screamed from her porch that the search warrant was invalid, that it was community overreach, that her HOA was a sovereign body operating under municipal independence, a phrase she clearly picked up from an internet conspiracy forum. None of it mattered. The deputies and county investigators went about their work silently, collecting boxes of records, drives, receipts, and even the HOA's walkie-talkie, which, unsurprisingly, were filled with ridiculous names like Operation Smoke Sniffer and Code Red. I watched them across the street.
We got the lead. Now hold it. Incoming lead.
I didn't want anyone mistaking satisfaction as nothing, but inside, I was a full-blown bonfire of indignation. The truth was unraveled, and the web current had spun over the community, collapsing thread by thread.
Incoming
Four
lead.
members arrived midway through the search, visibly.
Man, guys going jogging while I'm over here with the golden staff.
Mark, who had voted with Karen on almost everything in the past, quietly pulled me aside and said, "I didn't know it was this. I thought it was just strong leadership. She told us everything was legal." I looked at him.
Wait, was
without
that dark
judgment.
ether?
Now you know. Let's make sure it doesn't happen again. The biggest
Incoming
surprise came when the investigators cracked open
Incoming
a locked
lethal.
closet labeled office storage. Inside, they found what could only be described as a low-budget war room.
Using lethal.
Maps of the neighborhood with pins and red string. A corkboard with photos of residents. Some labeled as racist, problematic, compliant, or, in my case, under surveillance. There were recorded meetings on tape, lists of strategic HOA targets,
Some
and even a
lessons
mock
are
draft for a
using
new
lethal.
amendment that proposed creating an HOA curfew authority. Brad's name appeared several times on the documents, mostly next to bullet points labeled Enforcer Initiative and Tactical Escalation. It was bizarre and absurd, but also undeniably serious.
Enemy
These
field
weren't
upgrade.
just bad
Watch
ideas.
it.
These were plans, coordinated ones. We also recovered footage of the HOA's incident drone, which Karen had affectionately nicknamed Skyhawk. One video showed it flying directly over a fenced backyard where a couple sunbathed privately. Another had audio from a couple arguing inside their home, recorded through a cracked window. The final straw was footage of a child's birthday party, with Karen narrating in the background like she was hosting a documentary, muttering criticisms about noise, unauthorized inflatable ventilators, and sugar-based traffic violations. That clip alone resulted in the immediate suspension of Karen's remaining HOA powers. She was barred from attending meetings, issuing fines, or communicating with the board until the legal review was complete. The following week, we held a community town hall, not just for residents of Valley Oak, but for the greater community. People packed into the standing on beyond.
Yes!
It was about rebuilding trust and ensuring something like.
And then the final kill chain.
Opened with an apology. I told them I was sorry I hadn't looked deeper to it, that I'd assumed the neighborhood issue was beneath the level of law enforcement concern.
I just got the kill
That
chain.
I failed to see the pattern until I was forced to become a victim myself. Then I explained the investigation. The fake security team, the illegal detainment, the surveillance programs, the financial fraud, the impersonation of officers, the misuse of power. I laid it all out, not to humiliate Karen, but to hold the system accountable. Because if we only punish people, not the structures that let them thrive, we repeat the cycle. After my statement, several residents came forward. An older couple talked about the time Karen fined them for hanging wind chimes that she claimed disrupted Zen acoustics. The teenage girl shared how her family was fined every time she parked her new Toyota in the driveway because it wasn't aesthetically beautiful. A veteran stood up and explained how he'd been warned for having a wheelchair ramp installed without submitting a request for property alteration. Every story poured out like water behind a broken dam. And with each one, the crowd shifted, not just in sympathy, but in awakening. When Karen tried to attend, she was stopped at the door by a pair of deputies. She wore a blazer with sunglasses and a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. As the deputies turned her away, she shouted to the press. This is
Give me that. I need that kill cam.
the sheriff wants my seat on the HOA board. The cameras zoom.
How? I got kill chain. I literally got kill chain in this one.
The district attorney had reviewed the files and determined there were multiple charges.
That's no fair.
Fraud, misuse of
I'll still take first.
and harassment. The HOA board voted to freeze all operations and requested outside.
I dropped 33 kills, better than what you can.
Restructuring. Karen's assets were flagged for investigation.
And guess what?
Temporary manager.
Diamond camo.
Replace her.
Third diamond on my weapons.
Valley Oak was being
I still gotta do
run by
ARs, so that's probably gonna be the most annoying.
I watched it all
ARs and
unfold with
snipers.
cautious optimism. I knew Karen wouldn't go down quietly. People like her rarely do. But I also knew the structure
Okay, let's
around
equip
her was
the
gone.
diamond.
The paper-thin authority she'd wielded like a sword had been burned
Diamond
up in the light of public
is on
scrutiny
to
and
the
legal
staff.
Still, there
Now
was
we
one
move
more
on
thing I
to
had
the
do.
skateboard.
I went back to the HOA office after hours, not as sheriff.
Because I think
but
I'm
as
on
a
one of the
neighbor.
skateboard missions
I
now.
walked through the empty hall,
Yeah, I gotta finish up this
past
last
the
skateboard
motivational
mission, and I gotta
posters
quickly
of
switch from a
Karen's
weapon.
desk and into the community storage
After I get
closet.
skateboard, I
There
get
in
golden
the
and then
corner was
diamond.
the corkboard. I pulled out every photo,
Oh, you're loading
every
up?
pin, every string. I packed them in a box. Then I found Karen.
Okay.
HOA
1v1 first.
nameplate and slipped it inside.
See if our skills are still
The
matched.
mission was over. The
Okay.
phone was empty.
I'll chill here
Back
for you.
outside, I dropped the box in the back of my cruiser and drove it down to the county records office, where it would be added to the case files. As I pulled it to
I'm
my
tired.
vehicle that night,
Hi.
the smell of someone grilling
Yeah, I agree. Whoever said named I'm tired said hi. I am very tired after getting that first diamond kill. Diamond and kill chain. Cause kill chain. Oh man, that is hard to get. What?
Scheduled just 3 weeks after the town hall, and Karen, true to her nature, chose to represent herself. She walked into the courtroom.
Yeah, I got
like a
one,
boss
only
and
one
a
kill
corporate
chain
executive
that whole
and a
round.
renegade podcast host,
I'll switch over to private,
oversized sunglasses,
and let's see if we can hit that tomahawks. You think we get some insane tomahawk throws?
Edition. The judge raised an eyebrow before she even sat down. Courtroom proceedings are usually dry, procedural, filled with quiet objections and routine filings.
I am loading in.
Into theater. She strutted up to the lectern, declared that she was being persecuted by an overreaching
I am very
sheriff,
tired.
and began
Just straightly just trying to unlock
what
that.
appeared to be a Facebook
Not
comment
kill
thread
confirm.
about
Kill
being
confirm
pushed
sucks.
over. At one
Free for all.
She even cited a TikTok creator as a legal precedent. I watched from the gallery with a mixture of awe and secondhand embarrassment. Despite her wild
Listen, I am not gonna be the best.
no joke. The evidence was overwhelming.
Just letting you know, dude.
Footage, financial records,
But I'll
witness
try to
testimony,
at least be
and the
matched.
recordings recovered from her so-called command center painted a clear picture. She hadn't just overstepped. She had bulldozed every legal boundary and then tried to redraw the lines to fit her own delusions of power. The prosecution laid it out cleanly, step by step, with digital exhibits, community impact statements, and a list of fake citations she had issued that nearly outnumbered the town's
Ready?
parking tickets for the entire year. The courtroom went silent.
Okay,
as
let's
birthday
start
party
up.
Surveillance video played.
I'll try to hit my best shots, but I might be a little rusty being off for 3 days.
The judge was
I still did a lot of good snipes out.
patient.
Huh?
He let her ramble during her defense, even when she tried to cross-examine a neighbor with questions like, "Would you say your lawn is a beacon of community shame? And is it true that you once painted your mailbox without prior approval?" But by the third day, the patience ran out. The judge called a recess, looked Karen dead in the eye, and said, "Miss Bellamy, this is a court of law, not your personal TED Talk." That was the moment something in her cracked. She stopped arguing and just sat there, flipping through her binder like it might contain a secret code that could undo the mess. When the verdict came down, guilty on 6 charges, including
reset this up now.
illegal surveillance, and misuse of HOA funds, Karen didn't cry. She didn't shout. She simply stood up and muttered, "This town doesn't deserve me." Then she asked if she could appeal to the federal HOA, which, as the judge reminded her, does not exist. The sentence wasn't jail time. That would have turned her into some kind of folk martyr in her own head. Instead,
There we
she
go.
was
I reset it up.
100 hours of community service under direct county
Nope, it doesn't glitch out like last
lifetime ban
time.
from holding any
Second
leadership
time's a charm.
position in a registered HOA, and
There we go.
financial restitution to
You
the
ready?
residents of Valley Oak. Ironically,
That was a voice
her
crack.
community service began with sorting mail
Wow.
and washing patrol vehicles.
My voice
at
doesn't
the
usually
county
break it
sheriff's
like
department,
that.
which meant every Monday and Wednesday morning. Karen
Welcome,
signed
the
her time card and then walked past me while I sipped coffee in the precinct break room. The first time it happened, we locked eyes. She sneered. I raised my mug in greeting. Neither of us spoke. It was poetic justice. She wasn't locked away or silenced. She was made visible, humbled, and returned to the same people she tried to dominate. And the best part? She had to do it all while following real rules, enforced by real authority, not the fantasy world she built on clipboards and paranoia. Back in Valley Oak, things started changing quickly. The temporary manager, a retired...
Try to find my tomahawk. I accidentally bounced it off
was
the car.
unanimously voted in as the new HOA president after Karen's expulsion was made.
Just trying to get
permanent.
used back to my
Nita
settings.
had no interest in drama or power. Her first act was to cancel
Headshot.
every standing citation and refund any fines collected.
Being off for a little,
by the
I'm doing a little
administration
better than
that
I
had
usually
no
do.
legal basis. Then she opened the books for all residents to review, implemented a monthly Q&A session, and invited local volunteers to help
Never mind, we're
with
tying
the
again.
neglected community garden. Within a month, the mood of the neighborhood had completely transformed. People who used to avoid one another were now chatting on porches, organizing actual block parties, and helping elderly residents with yard work. Without
Wait, what?
violations for using the
But
road
how?
mulch. As for Brad, well, he got off light. After cooperating fully with the investigation, he was given a reduced penalty and required to
Ow.
take city-sponsored civics class. He now worked part-time at the community pool, where he greeted people
Hi.
at the entrance with a nervous smile and no longer wore a utility vest or pretended to be Delta Force. Todd and the other
Yeah, it's a
guys
one-on-one.
whose name I still never learned disappeared from the area.
No, it's just 4-3. He's one ahead of me.
As I grilled on my back patio, finally, uninterrupted by walkie-talkies or fake citations, Nina stopped by with a homemade pie. She said it was a thank you from the board for helping restore order. I told her it was a team effort, and she laughed, saying, "Well, we wouldn't have had a team if you hadn't embarrassed Karen into a courtroom."
You're too small. Oh, flip!
Hosted an official community celebration, not just for the HOA.
I put that there.
Return of common sense. There was music, food trucks, and even a dumpster. And in a stroke of irony I could never have predicted, someone had placed a cardboard cutout.
That was an idiot move.
Holding a citation.
Next time, never stand by your bombs.
Kids took turns throwing bean bags at them. No one seemed upset. It was just closure in the form of laughter. Toward the end of the night, I stood near the edge of the event, sipping sweet tea and watching the sunset. That's when I spotted her, Karen, in her orange vest, a trash picker.
My body's in the ground.
She walked the sidewalk silently, picking up paper cups and candy wrappers. She passed me without a word, but her eyes flicked sideways, just for a second. She was still bitter. Still convinced she'd been wrong, but she wasn't dangerous anymore, just deflated, and that was enough. One of my deputies walked up with
balls.
Think she'll ever come back swinging? I shook my head. She might try, but the difference now? This neighborhood knows the law. They know they have a voice, and they know not to give that voice away to someone with a megaphone and a fake badge. The music faded, the stars came out, and for the first time in a long while, Valley Oak felt like home again. Not just houses on a street, but people who...
I really don't care because right now I am 1v1ing. It's rude to interrupt me while I am busy
trying
to fight him.
To remind him who really runs the neighborhood.
Oh no, another hit marker! Where's my tomahawk at?
Two former officials who criticized him. Escalating his retribution campaign, the president directed the Justice Department to investigate Miles Taylor, a former Homeland Security official, and Christopher Krebs, a top cybersecurity official overseeing elections. Both political appointees during Trump's
No!
without evidence of treason.
I think it's a very important case, and I think he's guilty of...
Hi.
You want to know?
How are you?
We'll find out. This guy Krebs was saying, oh, the election was rigged, it was rigged. It was a very corrupt election. They used COVID to cheat. And
Slow.
we're going to find out about this guy, too.
Our White House correspondent Laura Barone-Lopez has been following the latest hearings from the House. Well, let's just start with these executive orders. Break down for us.
Wee!
So the executive orders targeting Chris Krebs and Miles Taylor strip security clearances from both of those former officials and also revoke clearances for their
Bro!
For Taylor, that means people that work at University of Pennsylvania.
It's 11-7. It's 7-11.
And then finally, Trump ordered the Justice Department and Homeland Security to launch investigations into Krebs and Taylor's tenure during his...
It's 12-7. I am at 7. He's at 12. Because I am still trying to get my thing. Oh, hi.
Of President Trump that has been subject to an investigation by the Justice Department.
Wee!
So, Miles Taylor and Chris Krebs, why
I'm gonna try the shot.
As you noted, both of these men have been critical of President Trump's conduct, be it during the first term and since then. And Trump's executive order specifically targets Chris Krebs for telling the truth about the 2020.
No! Hit marker!
The president says that he disclosed...
That was a 360 no-scope! No! I feel so salty! No! That makes me feel salty for that one. Oh, hi. I feel so salty! I'm literally right now feel so salty for missing that to a hit marker. Oh, hi again.
unlawful. It's
Oh, hi.
It's treasonous, and America is headed down the dark path.
Laura, we've seen the president target before people, institutions.
Why does it make you feel so salty when you missed a perfect shot you had?
The lawyers and legal scholars that I spoke to said that these actions are unprecedented. I've never seen power in the way that
That went right through his butt. That is in his butt. I saw his cheeks.
traditional powers, traditional separation between the Justice Department and his office of the presidency. Now, this is part of a larger pattern of punishing any person or entity that the president considers an enemy. Now, this is not an exhaustive list that we're about to show, but these are some of the people who President Trump has either revoked security clearances for or security for.
Jeez.
That includes former chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Mark Milley, Trump's former defense secretary, Mark Esper, and many others. The president has also targeted law firms that either legally challenged his policies or represented political opponents or cooperated with some of the prosecutions that were carried out against.
Wait, what? That actually it?
The president added to his target list the firm Sussman Godfrey and targeting their security clearances. They represented Dominion Voting Systems in their lawsuit against Fox News, and you'll remember that Fox News had to settle $787 million to Dominion Voting Systems.
Laura, going after these law firms in this way, investigating two former officials from the...
I missed it again.
I spoke to Kevin Carroll, who served as counsel under the Homeland Security Department during Trump's first term.
I just want to hit it.
Specifically against Taylor and Krebs, blatantly unconstitutional, and said that it was just the beginning.
They're going to continue to go after individuals and law firms, and I think it's very important for people to fight back, and for the courts to support them when they fight back. What they're trying to
Again, I missed.
going forward, prevent people from doing whistleblowers, prevent people from speaking out about this, prevent people from telling the truth about election results. And it's really important for the legal profession especially.
I don't know how.
Go ahead, hit me. Go ahead, you didn't pay your bill, love.
I'm not going.
The first red flag came on Tuesday morning. A kind of calm, unremarkable.
Manly little rat.
Mowing the backyard and maybe finally fixing that walking.
Come on, now can I hit the no scope?
I was sipping my second cup of coffee, admiring the dew still clinging to the grass, when I saw them. 3 orange-vested workers stomping across my yard like they owned the place.
I'm gonna really push you down.
An inch from your body. That was a quick scope when I call it. Wow, you just pinned me to the ground.
Telling me that it's Cybertruck.
You just pinned me like that.
I don't care.
Nah, he pinned me straightly to the ground.
Imagine having your 17-year-old daughter and then claim it.
Wait, how do you shoot? Where was the spring mine at? I had one up on the roof. Oh.
Is there a claim that the charges themselves?
I smacked you. Welcome to the where I am raging over a hit marker shot when it should have been a killed.
$19 million. That's how much the state predicts taxpayers will lose this year because of growing public assistance fraud.
It's awful. 4 years ago, the state implemented new technology relying on a series of questions during the online application process. Investigative reporter Darlene Jones asked why the multi-million-dollar...
I am still so mad about that hit marker.
This arrest affidavit describes the owner of the hay-meat market in Ocala as a woman who took taxpayers for more than $1 million.
I had a hit marker shot for a 360 no scope.
It is now for sale. Her home in Gainesville just sold to new owners. Her alleged customers, Letitia Johnson and Marcia Gibson, were arrested last month.
So I'm standing on my front porch in the middle of a winter blackout.
Slid your guns to the ground. Look at that, Grandpa. Look at that tomahawk. Go straight in him.
Open flames are prohibited. That'd be annoying enough. But then she smirks and says, maybe you should have paid your HOA.
What?
Like the rest of us. Thing is, I don't owe a dime. And she doesn't know. I'm the guy who signs off on the HOA's electrical permit. Now, let me back up a second, because to understand how absurd this moment is, you need to know
Yo! Oh wait, I can't grab the tomahawk anymore.
This house from my Uncle Dave. It was paid off, built just outside the formal HOA boundary line, and had its own legacy grid tie-in that didn't fall under HOA jurisdiction. And before you ask, yes, that detail matters later. A lot. But back then, all I knew was I'd finally escaped
He finally turned around. I feel like you're a barrel. I turn around. All I see is your face and then I get tomahawked. Get out of here.
With their kids' soccer team sticker on the back.
Get out of here.
And at the helm of it all, Karen, 50-something, power-walking addict, wears pearls to rake leave. HOA president for 8 years running and proud of it. She welcomed me with a clipboard, a printed welcome.
No, I can't grab tomahawk anymore.
And a violation notice for parking my truck on my own gravel driveway. At first, I thought it was a mistake. I laughed. She didn't. Her eyes scanned my face like she was trying to decide whether I'd be a problem or just another spineless fish.
Your body just slumps over. Oh my god.
Intention of doing so. She stiffed. I pointed to my deed.
I have a tomahawk back.
Attachment. No agreement. No jurisdiction. She left without another word, but not before letting her eyes flick to the firewood stacked neatly beside my porch like it personally offended her. Then came the letters, handwritten notes in my mailbox, signed but unmistakably Karen. Please consider painting your shutters neutral beige for community cohesion. Friendly reminder, gravel driveways are a fire hazard. Reconsideration all parties involved. I didn't bite. I just documented.
Don't think I always have plan B.
See, what Karen didn't know, and never bothered to is that I work in power grid inspection. I don't just know how the infrastructure works. I approve, audit, green extensions,
how are you?
Power permits, transformer upgrades, and substation licensing across 3 counties. That includes residential developments like this one, including their HOA, including Karen's precious little empire. Still, I didn't escalate. I wanted to be neighborly, or at least boring enough that she got bored. That was naive of me, because Karen wasn't looking for compliance. She was looking for submission. And when the weather reports started rolling in, forecasting a major winter storm, I should have known she'd see it as an opportunity. I prepped, quietly. My place runs partially off-grid anyway, thanks to the solar array my uncle installed before it was trendy.
Don't even.
And battery banks, a propane generator, and emergency radiant heaters. Everything code compliant, everything safe, everything fully legal. The HOA, however, has its own blackout protocol. No wood-burning fires, no visible gas tanks, no personal generators unless approved and screened from street.
I'm chilling on a car.
Because, again, I wasn't part of it.
As soon as I say that.
I didn't see it that way. The storm hit hard. Power went out across the neighborhood just after
I get you twice with the car.
I was outside relighting my fire pit with a blowtorch, bundled up in 2 jackets, when Karen marched up the driveway like she was leading a military patrol. She was fuming. Her own house was dark, cold, and miserable, and mine lit up like a magazine ad. She yelled about fire codes, community and endangering others. I told her politely but firmly to leave my property. That's when she dropped the smirk and said I'd regret not paying my fair share.
I am like sweating hard right now. But do never call my little sis Husk.
I went back inside, made coffee with my backup power, and settled in with a book.
Rob, come on, dude. You know better.
Everything was off. No power, no backup, nothing. I walked out to check my transformer line. That's when I noticed my main cable had
Jeez, it's about to slide.
HOA shared transformer, the one they had installed across the property edge years before I moved in. It was cleanly cut.
Oh, hello. How are you there? Oh, wait. Hello there.
My first reaction.
Oh, hello there. I forgot the
Then
meme.
anger, then curiosity. I had installed
Robert,
this
don't never call my
plan
little sis
near the
that.
transformer box months ago, just to keep
Tomahawk's
tabs
going
on
right.
wildlife wires. What I saw made me choke on my coffee.
I forgot that was there.
Headlamp on, bolt cutters in hand, snipping my line just before midnight. He even looked into the camera and smiled. I called the sheriff. They said it was a civil matter. I called the
I'm supposed to
HOA.
smack you with the tomahawk
They said
again.
It was a miscommunication. I called my attorney. He said, keep every record. They just made this personal. But I didn't panic. I didn't yell. I didn't even call the guy.
That was so close.
I just started drafting the inspection order. And this is where it gets good.
Wait, you saw it?
Doesn't know the permits she'll need to restore power to the neighborhood next week. They all go through my office. And suddenly, I have some serious concerns
You dare
about
ever
the
smack
condition
me.
of her electrical infrastructure. I'll admit, part of me wanted to just write it off, move on, forget it ever happened. But then, the very next morning, as I was outside inspecting the damage, Karen had
Nice job.
to walk past,
I just...
me like she was royalty, and said,
Well, with me, I got, easy trigger joysticks right now, so...
Time's nearly up.
Because I
Close it down.
realized she really had no idea who I was. No clue.
You see it, don't you?
Sabotage the one person who could, and now would, audit every single inch of her HOA's electrical system. No idea that I've been waiting for someone.
We should do this, honestly, Warzone.
And no idea that I.
Warzone, me and you go sniping duo.
Why did she turn to go back to her house, smug as ever? A bright orange utility truck rolled.
I'm not best at Warzone, but...
Paused, watched it, didn't recognize the logo, and as it pulled up in front of her HOA office, she walked a little slower, a little more cautious. What she didn't see, what she couldn't have
You
seen,
think you won this goal.
was the inspection notice on the windshield, signed by me, dated that morning, and labeled mandatory compliance review power infrastructure. Let's just say she's about
And that's
to find
defeat.
out what happens when you unplug the wrong guy. By the time the utility
Area passive.
GG. GG. You won by 4.
what she assumed was a bluff turned into a full-blown state-level inspection, and her precious little HOA ship, complete with a cracked breaker panel and a questionable makeshift wiring job, was about to be.
You just look over and you see me snipe you, and then you just...
But let's rewind.
Oh, hello there!
Because the day after
And I just... Man, I'm dead. I'm dead. That one not.
For her, not me.
Okay, we gotta make a sniper Warzone loadout.
Nothing dramatic, nothing theatrical. Just dry, bureaucratic.
Me and you are just like the funny two to play.
I noted every potential issue I'd already witnessed. Exposed wiring on the HOA.
Okay, let's get into Warzone.
Pads without certified grounding, and illegal generator hookups for the clubhouse HVAC system. Then I submitted.
You ready for Warzone?
Request. In my world, that's like ringing the bell and watching the hounds come running. The state takes infrastructure safety seriously.
I'm gonna talk about Talk to Death
when it's
Princess
tied to
later.
Residential communities built pre-2000 with no documented permit renewals. And wouldn't you know it, Karen's beloved neighborhood was one of those. Just old enough to be vulnerable. Just smug enough to think no one would notice. 2 days later, she knocked on my door. Not with a warning this time. With cookies. Store-bought, overwrapped, and suspiciously lukewarm.
You blocked
The smile
Roberts.
was stretched too wide.
I wanna skip this. Oh, I can't.
Channeling step-forward energy, but didn't know
Darn it. I still gotta go through the animation because I missed it.
she sang. Just thought we got off on the wrong foot. I told her I wasn't hungry. She didn't budge.
Give me a sec, I got the animation. I can't skip it either.
For the door to shut. Then she tried the sympathy
brand new map I'm right now seeing.
How people in the neighborhood didn't appreciate all.
Okay, now it's done. I don't gotta worry about that anymore.
So grateful if I took it easy on the inspection team when
there's no more Rebirth Island.
In the eye and said, "You
There's
know
Resurgence.
What made this a lot easier?" She blinked. I finished, not cutting my power during a blackout. The smile faded. The cookie
Make
stayed,
this shotgun
so
right here into my sniper.
3 days later, the
Snipers.
first inspection crew arrived. Karen wasn't notified in advance. That's part of the charm of a surprise compliance review. You get to see things as they actually are, not how someone wants them to appear. The crew took photos, made notes, walked the perimeter of the clubhouse, took one look at the rat's nest of wires duct taped along the back fence, and winced like they'd seen.
I might not work on my stuff.
I didn't have to say a word. The inspection chief, a guy named Ramirez I'd worked with for years, waved to me on his way out and said, "You weren't kidding." That evening, the HOA sent out an emergency newsletter. Karen's tone had changed drastically. Gone were the past.
I want a throwing knife because that's a 2-hit kill now.
This one was all caps panic. All residents must avoid commenting to state inspectors. Do not allow access to private homes.
Okay, you think we can win this by sniping?
HOA board is handling the situation professionally.
Let's go. Do you want to go
The
Resurgence?
House of Cards was swaying. Now, I hadn't told anyone who I was.
Or we want to go regular Battle
I didn't
Royale?
flaunt my badge. I didn't walk around with a clipboard and a flashlight pretending to be the hero. I just kept to myself, mowed my lawn,
I click Duo.
waved politely to the people who didn't
Oh, Duo's
clear it,
already over there.
and
I
let
click Trio next then.
spinning her wheels. Because at this
Okay.
point, every time she tried to gain control,
Letting you know I am not
only
the
made
best
it
at
worse.
Warzone, so
Like
if I
when she tried
die,
to
it's
install
my
a
fault.
temporary power bypass on the pool lights to keep the clubhouse.
I'm gonna have to get a lot of Gulag tokens
That would
in
have
this
been
match.
thoughtful if she hadn't hired a high schooler with
Try to get a
zero
sniper as fast as I
license to do
can.
the job. Or the time she hosted an emergency HOA board meeting using a gas generator inside the enclosed maintenance shed, which turned into a minor carbon monoxide incident. It
Am I
didn't
still
hurt
muted
anyone,
on the game
but the
thing?
fire marshal was less than thrilled. The HOA board, once loyal to a fault, began turning on her quietly. I could see it in their body language. Nervous glances, whispered chats in the driveway. A few started stopping by my place under the pretense of asking for advice on home upgrade. I offered coffee. They brought their own mugs and excuses. But what they really wanted was information. What was coming next?
Okay, I got me a full on
A
Percocets
citywide
for
notice
this
of code
now.
violations issued to the HOA itself. It was the equivalent of
This one has a
public
different
slap
loading
across the
screen.
face. Their entire infrastructure
I got a different
had
loading
failed
screen on this
inspection.
account.
Non-compliance in 5 categories. Fines pending. Permits suspended. And until the corrections were made, the HOA couldn't legally authorize power reconnections, facility access, or maintenance.
Dude, you know what I just realized?
In short, they were powerless. And then
I've never been moderated.
because when an HOA loses permit authority, the responsibility for emergency access and compliance defaults to the nearest municipal entity.
I'll type hi in
Wouldn't
chat.
you know it, my address was technically unincorporated, but my lot sat on a grandfathered easement line from the county's utility district. That meant the nearest permitted, functioning grid hookup belonged to me. Karen figured it out the next morning. I was outside adjusting the solar battery inverter when she stormed up the sidewalk in full fury, wrapped in a red wool shawl like some angry Christmas ghost. She demanded answers, asked if I had something to do with this.
Let's get this started.
I told her I'd been staying warm and fully powered thanks to my legally
You ready?
off-grid setup, and that I hoped her inspections went well. She
Okay.
accused me of sabotaging the HOA. Said
Oh, I love your skin.
I told her flatly, you did that all by yourself.
It kind of matches. We're kind of like similar.
She stormed off without another word. Later that night,
I am a juggernaut.
group chat, a poorly moderated mess that I had never participated
I am using the juggernaut skin. Where do we go?
Someone had leaked the inspection result.
You and Mark, whatever.
Pictures of the exposed wires, the cracked outlets, the non-compliant
Okay, see it.
generator installed. Karen tried to shut it down, citing
My friend Robert is texting me.
but it was too late.
The dude, you just blocked
Screenshots were
comments.
already being shared.
I'll see what he said.
One had Karen photoshopped onto a power line.
I glide over there.
Another dubbed her the Queen of Darkness. I should have felt bad. I didn't. The last message I saw before logging off for the night was from a board member named Shelley.
Where are you at?
Who exactly filed this report? The comments exploded beneath me.
I am too.
Speculation, theories.
So really, you did it?
A screenshot
or whatever.
From my security cam, the one that caught the board member cutting my power. My name was written in the corner, clear as day.
I really don't care, but let's just mess up the calls on that.
The dots connected, and just as I turned off my phone and headed to bed, my doorbell rang.
I'm gonna start dropping down. I'm near the marker.
The HOA letterhead was shaking slightly in the wind. I picked it up, scanned it, and laughed out loud. Because the HOA was requesting...
Don't die like an idiot this time, Nathan. Remember, you dropped down and killed yourself last time.
I didn't sign it. Not immediately, anyway. I made myself a cup of coffee, sat on the porch, and stared at that letter like it had personally insulted my ancestors.
Oh, shotguns.
The HOA was desperate now.
My specialty.
They realized they couldn't override the city. Couldn't sweep
I do
off their
use
way
a lot
around
of
inspection
weapons.
and couldn't keep pretending
If I find some
everything was
shotguns,
fine
it's
when half
useful.
the
What do I got? I
neighborhood
got
was running
this
on
and
extension cords and propane
spring
tank.
mine.
So they turned to me, the very guy they tried to freeze out, frame as a
Money,
troublemaker,
armor, full plate, WAR. Throwing knife?
What they wanted
Oh, I got ability.
I had the authority to recommend a provisional reinstatement of their suspended permits pending further correction.
I'm a bounty.
Basically, it would let them restore minimal functionality
Oh, you are?
to the shared
I can
grid
barely
while they
see.
worked on fixing
I got my
everything
throwing
else.
knife.
It
What I
was a
wanted.
common step in bureaucratic infrastructure repair.
No, I got the whatever this thing is. I don't even know.
Standing, with clean history and no personal conflict of interest.
I'm looking for throwing knives. I need 2 throwing knives.
But ethically, debatable, legally, borderline, politically, explosive. Karen must have known that, which is probably why the next morning
that's you.
she showed up again. No clipboard,
I'm still using an enemy.
no
I finally found a sniper.
standing at the edge of my driveway
Sorry.
in a ridiculous fur coat and boots that had never touched mud. She looked
I just
pretty,
aimed it as fast
not
as
in
I
the way
can
you
and
do
shot.
after a long night, but in the way that sets in when your fake little empire is crashing around you, and you realize everyone you rule
They are
over
nearby.
smug superiority suddenly wants your resignation. She didn't ask to come up. She just stood there and said, "I'm sorry." I almost dropped my coffee. It was short,
Run!
simple, barely audible.
I'm being taken to the gulag. I might not survive it.
I didn't know what to say. Then she followed it up.
They sniped me.
You have to understand. I didn't know who you were. That snapped me right back to my senses. I stood up, walked down the steps, and said, "And if I were just some regular guy without credentials, you'd still have cut my power and laughed about it." Her silence was answering. I told her I wasn't signing anything. Not yet. That I had questions. That I wanted transparency. And most importantly, I wanted every single resident to know exactly what their dues had been paying for.
I died.
To keep her illusion.
Bruh.
She didn't argue. She just
I'm
nodded
dead.
and walked away. The fur on her coat swaying like a parody of authority fading into the background. I didn't see her again for 3 days. In the meantime, the neighborhood began unraveling in the most delightful ways. With the inspection reports leaked and the HOA newsletter now reduced to awkward damage control statements,
I need to
people
sit up.
started coming out of the woodwork. Neighbors I'd barely spoken to were knocking on my door asking about solar panels, legal options, and how to petition for a board vote. A man named Greg showed me a file.
I'm gonna chill while I'm dead and get a better sight. If you can you try buy me back, please?
A woman named Dana revealed she'd been threatened with foreclosure for a fence she installed with HOA approval, but mysteriously, the approval document had gone missing. The more they shared,
Wait, what's the most wanted do?
that Karen hadn't just overstepped. She'd built her own little monarchy using fear, confusion, and technicalities.
The enemy
Now
lost
that
track
fear
of
was
you.
gone,
Good work
what
down there.
replaced it was anger. It wasn't long before someone started
Okay.
circulating a petition.
I'm relying on you. I am very sorry for dying, by the way.
In most HOAs, that's nearly impossible. But because of the suspension, the HOA's legal
I gotta wait 2 minutes. I can wait that out.
And people knew it. Karen must have felt
Just watch out for people.
Because the next time I saw her, she wasn't wearing fur or heels. She looked normal. Exhausted, but normal. She handed me a folder. An actual honest folder. Not some passive.
What, you waiting on them?
Packet. Inside were the revised repair plans, contractor permits, fire code documentation, and receipts for upgraded equipment. It was clean.
They don't realize you can see them.
Impressive, but it still wasn't enough. Looks good, I told her.
Oh, hell.
Why didn't you just do this?
Wait, you sniped him?
She looked at the ground and muttered something about
sniped him out of the helicopter. Mr. Savage.
If you want me to sign this, I need one more thing. You resign.
That is, your nickname is, when you're playing Warzone, is Mr. Savage now. That was just a savage move to do to them. That was so mean. That was so mean. That kid player just got poorly sniped out of that helicopter.
She didn't write in her signature voice. No bold fonts. No underlined rules. Just a resignation notice. Effective immediately. Karen was stepping down, and you could practically hear the champagne.
Wow, man, that was just mean.
I waited.
He did him dirty like that. Didn't know you was chill like that. Yeah! I am finally alive! And I just get sniped out of the air by someone random. I will grab some loot now. Man, that was dirty. I have never seen someone be done dirty that hard.
Once looked at me like I was the villain. But just when things started to settle, the next twist came out of nowhere. One of the interim board members, a guy named Ray who used to avoid eye contact like I was contagious, showed up at my door with a cardboard box.
Where's that loadout drop? I need to go grab that.
The HOA office behind some insulation panels. Inside were folders, dozens of them. Paperwork Karen had kept hidden.
Got my sniper.
That didn't match the official book. Fee collections.
Got my sniper and throwing knives this time.
Phantom contractor.
I only got one throwing knife, but that's fine. Where are you at?
One file even showed a backyard security camera fund Karen had set up with HOA money. Only it had been rerouted to a private storage. Ray asked me what it all meant.
Wait, I should make a reference.
I just
I'm bored.
Stared at the papers, at the signatures, at the date. Then I picked up my phone. Not to call the city. Not to call the board. I called someone else.
Darn it, I want to get on the roof.
The state's fraud division. Because apparently,
Where's your ladder
Karen had
at?
just been a nightmare neighbor. She might have been embezzling.
Oh, you took my airstrikes?
This little revenge story was about to become a full-blown criminal investigation. The moment I handed over
I'm getting money
to the fraud division, everything shifted. What started as a
Molotov, but I don't like Molotovs.
sabotaged power line had just crossed into legal thriller territory. I wasn't gloating, not exactly.
I want to get this crown thing again.
Watching the smug queen of citations get tangled in her own
crown thing around here.
Didn't feel like poetic justice.
I can't grab it. I don't know where it's at.
At first, an agent from the state's office of
Do you want to go Russian people?
with me in a diner 2 towns.
Or let's first get the zone.
No names used. Standard procedure. I gave them the box.
I need to head. We're gonna need to head zone first.
And every HOA newsletter I'd archived like some obsessive hoarder. They didn't say much, just nodded and took everything. But I could tell from the way their eyes kept flicking to the copies.
We could head up to that building. It's like the best sniping spot.
Like Karen had tried to play Empress with other people's dues. A week later, subpoenas started dropping. Ray told me over the phone. His voice a mix of nervous and exhilarated. That state auditors
I got these one-shot pistols I made.
with 3 cruisers
See?
and a box truck. They confiscated everything.
I don't use them much, but
Filing cabinets, even a weird little safe that Karen had bolted under the reception desk. According to Ray, she tried to play it cool until they asked for the access code. Then she
I know.
cried.
I am looting a lot of
It was
cash.
all a misunderstanding, but by then it was far too late. The thing about Karens is they rarely know when the game's up. They always think there's one more rule they can twist, one more technicality they can shout into submission. But not this time.
Try to survive the gulag
Was
for me.
buzzing. Not just in the nosy, gossip-thirsty way suburbs usually
Do you
buzz,
win?
but in that stunned, jaw-dropped, slowly realizing what she'd done kind of way. Turns out, Karen hadn't just been issuing fake violations or misusing her power. She'd been outright stealing. HOA funds that were supposed to go toward community improvements had been diverted into her personal account under the guise of consulting fees. Contractors she claimed to have hired didn't exist.
Did you take a
Repairs
photo
that
of
residents
the
were billed for were never made. And worst of all, there were several late payment threats sent to elderly residents that were
I saw those helicopter people.
just pocketed. One of the victims, a sweet retired woman named Linda, who baked the world's
Nathan, did you take the photo of the pantry?
had been
My
paying double
brother.
dues for nearly 2
And
years.
I was nowhere to be
Karen
found.
told
Hey,
her
mark
it
the
was
nearest
because
buying
her
zone.
backyard shed violated
I'll buy you
the
back.
secondary shadow line easement. That's not a real thing. I checked. It doesn't exist in any building code anywhere. Karen just made
Should I
it
try
up,
to head
and
for a
Linda,
buying zone?
bless her trusting heart, believed her. I helped Linda file a formal restitution claim.
I've been over here
So
looting
did
up
eight
money
other
and stuff.
residents. By the time the news hit local media, the headline practically wrote itself. HOA president investigated for fraud after power dispute.
I'm being
with
careful.
inspector.
You got a
That
place
last
marked?
part, that
Oh,
was me.
you
I
see my
wasn't being
tank
directed,
running.
but let's just say I got more than a few thumbs up from neighbors who used to
Is there
avoid
any
eye
nearby right now?
contact. Even Greg, the guy who once reported me for having aggressively tinted
I'm gonna try to
porch
move.
lights, dropped off a six-pack and said,
Thank you.
"You were right about her." I told him I'd keep the beer if he dropped the tint complaint.
I am moving.
He laughed. We shook hands. Civilization, as it turns out, is possible, even in HOA territory. Karen was formally charged with embezzlement, falsifying financial documents, and obstruction of a state
Not
audit.
far.
She was arrested quietly, no fanfare, no cameras, just a gray sedan and a pair of plainclothes agents who walked her out of her house.
No, you move
like
faster
she
when you
was
switch
being
weapons,
escorted
right?
to a dentist appointment. But I watched from my window, coffee in hand, and I'm not ashamed to admit I smiled. Just a little. The interim board held a vote 2 weeks later, not just for new leadership, but to dissolve
Where's it?
the
Where's it?
HOA
Where's it?
entirely.
Load out?
It
No.
passed by a landslide.
Over here, right here.
89%. That's almost unheard of.
Purchase.
Most people are too
Self-revive
scared of what
and
happens
mask.
when an HOA collapses. But after Karen, the neighborhood
And you should be back.
was ready to risk it. Ready to live without daily
There's
threats
a charger right
over
there.
and mailbox alignment. Ready to
Back
be
alive?
peaceful neighbors. Not
Soldier.
subjects in some beige
I
kingdom
have
ruled by a woman
look
with
like
too
it.
much free time and an overfed printer. I was asked to be part
I
of the
would get in
transitional
here.
committee. I declined. Not because I didn't care. I just didn't want to turn into the next Karen. Power's a funny thing. People think revenge is about getting even, but it's not. Real revenge
You're
is
welcome
watching
to be back
someone dig their
alive.
own hole while you sit comfortably with a bag of popcorn, knowing you never had to lift a shovel. My
Honestly, I thought I was gonna die.
Oh, I see how it is, Fluffy.
Outsmarting
I need to move now.
outlasting her.
I got a gas mask just in case, because I know we're all the way up back here.
Move to the safe
The
zone.
final
my
chapter
bed
came on a
cleaned
warm
off
spring
now.
morning. I was outside reinstalling one of my solar inverters when a moving truck pulled up across the street. Karen's house.
I got
Her
ability
daughter,
thing.
a surprisingly normal human being, was helping load up boxes. I didn't ask where she was going. Didn't care. All I knew was that her reign was over.
I am
and the
moving
neighborhood she
as
tried
fast
to
as I can.
micromanage into submission had reclaimed its voice. No more fake
I'm grabbing
citations.
all the cash while I'm
No
on the
more
way.
power sabotage. No more HOA newsletters written like military dispatches. Later
I'm
that
trying to keep
afternoon,
stocked up
Ray
on
stopped
cash.
by, said they were holding a small barbecue to celebrate the dissolution.
I always buy lots of
Wanted
cash.
to know if I'd come. I told him I'd think about it.
Is it
He
those
laughed
same
and said,
people?
"We'll save you a plate." As I watched him walk back down the street, waving to neighbors who were now laughing and chatting in front yards instead of hiding behind blinds, I realized something I hadn't expected. Peace had returned. Not perfection, not utopia, but something better. Something earned.
What's that clock
as the sun
icon? Is
dipped
it like a
behind the tree
thing?
line, I lit the fire pit again. This time, no blowtorch, no confrontation, just flame, warmth, and a good chair. And as the soft glow filled the yard, I thought back to that moment during the blackout. Karen yelling about rules, smirking like she held all the cards. She didn't know then that I was the
I got a
guy
thing right
inside
here.
her
It's like
grid
a
purple.
clock. Do I
That
grab
was
it?
the fuse she was yanking without even
Loadout
checking
drop
a
headed your
thought.
way.
And she certainly didn't know that the biggest power she'd ever cut off was her own.
What did you do?
The first warning was a post-it note, tucked under the doormat like a coward's calling card. Grass 1.5 inches too tall. HOA violation number 6. Consider this a courtesy. It might have been funny if it weren't so serious, at least according to Karen, the self-appointed enforcer of the Oak Ridge Estates Homeowners Association. She had no official title, mind you, just a clipboard, a whistle, and the kind of power complex usually reserved for comic book villains. She wasn't
I see what you mean now.
when she started,
Break time's over.
but she somehow showed up at every meeting, voicing concerns in a tone that made concerned citizen sound like a threat. It started with the grass, but then came the mysterious drone shots, showing a supposedly cracked flower pot on the front porch. Then
I don't even got cash to buy you back. I am 1,000 short right now.
aggressively melodic. One day, we got a printed citation because a neighborhood cat, unconfirmed to be ours, was seen staring menacingly through Karen's dining room window. But we didn't even own a cat. By week 3,
Should I try to move?
her own form letters complete with fake badge logos and a watermark that read Oak Ridge Civil Order Squad.
I need to find money
which, unbeknownst to most,
stacked.
wasn't real at all. Still, she wore khaki pants and a dark blue
Sniper ammo.
polo
Come on,
embroidered
money,
with the
money,
initials
money.
HOAS, and patrolled in a golf cart that had flashing lights duct taped.
Please, money. How much? How
She
much?
used a child's walkie-talkie to bark orders to her unit,
None.
which consisted of 2
I'm loading up armor too. I'm trying to find cash as fast as I can.
failed a background check at the Dollar Tree. They called
How
themselves
much?
the Neighborhood Compliance.
1,000. Got 4,000k.
Everyone else,
North, the nearest buy
they were the
station.
fake HOA cops. We laughed until they got better. One afternoon, they issued a fake $75 citation because our response was out more than 7 hours. Karen,
No, I gotta see that. I gotta see that myself.
like she was documenting a crime scene. Another neighbor got a citation for
How?
garden gnomes. A veteran down the block was warned about excessive flag.
I should have bought a gulag coin.
Patriotism was now punishable. When we questioned her authority, Karen
But how? It's my question.
4.12b and threatened to elevate the
How do they hit
to
that?
SD property discrepancy. Her legal jargon sounded official if you didn't think too hard about it, and a surprising number of people didn't. Her little HOA militia began gaining traction. She even
Do you want to play again?
onto the board after campaigning on a platform of restoring aesthetic dignity. The votes came from her.
I can't believe that. That is a how did he hit that?
Coincidentally, we're all signed in the same purple board.
I was sprinting. Sprinting and sliding.
Suddenly, everyone was under surveillance. Plastic flamingos.
You revealing his gameplay?
Barbecue grills couldn't be visible from the road.
I'm right now back in lobby. Are you too?
Tasteful.
Do I go for round 2?
She posted laminated rule sheets to community mailboxes like they were.
I got an hour until I go to bed.
Meanwhile, the actual.
I can't
HOA
believe that.
A soft-spoken man named Gary.
I am
increasingly uncomfortable.
so disappointed.
But Karen was too loud, too fast, too relentless to stop. And she had a secret weapon, her so-called security squad. They started conducting random perimeter checks, wandering into backyards and once, they left a citation in a toddler's sandbox because a plastic shovel was deemed a trip hazard. The neighborhood was slowly turning into a gated fiefdom with Karen as its HOA queen, backed by her bumbling rent-a-cop crew. Most people rolled their eyes, avoided confrontation, and hoped she'd get bored. But when she began focusing on my 17-year-old son, a straight-A student who mowed lawns for extra cash and volunteered at the animal shelter. Something in me snapped. It started with noise complaints about his car doors. Then she warned that he was
Why my gun's broken?
While shooting hoops in our driveway.
Yeah, fix it.
One day, he came in and said Karen had followed him around the block, muttering into her
Now it should be working properly.
I thought it was bizarre but harmless, until the day she crossed a line so bold, so unthinkable, that it wouldn't just stir up outrage. It would shatter her fabricated empire. Because no one told her who our son really was. No one told her who his father really worked with. And once she
it reset my AR. I was trying to test out. I have a 100 mag AR that's max leveled.
Whether you're tuning
Man, that sucked.
Or somewhere Karen would have definitely tried to
didn't it?
We want to hear it. Drop your
It was that same dude that sniped you from nowhere sniped me.
And hit that notification bell so you never miss another wild.
And how did he hit both shots straightly on me when I'm sliding? That's hard to do sometimes.
It trampled over and golf clubs. At first, it was subtle surveillance. Notes left on the windshield of his car claiming he was parked at a suboptimal angle in our own driveway. Then came warnings about shirtless public appearances.
Enemies are dropping into the area.
Okay, let's try this again. I swear to God, a random dude with a sniper rifle did that. I swear to God, I hate people with that. The quickest ever aim with a sniper rifle. Oh, I love you. I still like your skin. This skin has every Call of Duty item from each game.
She wrote in one complaint file again, only with herself. Her pimply henchman started lurking nearby.
You really don't gotta unblock his comments.
Mumbling into his toy walkie-talkie like a villain with a Bluetooth headset. At one point, Ryan was cited for reckless cycling because he rode his bike down the cul-de-sac faster than 10 miles per hour. You're lucky we didn't impound the bike. Proudly standing next to a fallen chair with HOA task force.
I got a question. Why does the marks gotta be so far?
Which might have been the real offense in Karen's eyes.
Why the marks gotta be so far? Is it less people to deal with?
Of unauthorized landscaping. His crime, trimming the bushes by our mailbox without a permit. That's when we realized she wasn't just enforcing her fantasy laws. She was trying to humiliate him. She called it property defacement and tried to fine us $300 payable directly to neighborhood compliance operations. That's when I knew we had a problem. Ryan shrugged it off, but I could tell it was getting under his skin. He stopped shooting hoops after school. He walked instead of
Primary
biking.
objective
He
is to
looked over
eliminate
his
all
shoulder more.
targets.
And Karen, she smelled fear, or at least
I landed for a house that had no doors.
she showed up.
What a dumb move.
She marched up
Break up into that.
Vehicle hygiene must meet Oak Ridge standards. Excessive suds
Anything
can
on
create
trains?
runoff hazards. I stepped outside just in
There's a
time to
mission
see
thing,
Ron
like a
mutter,
flag
"Are you
thing.
serious?" Karen's nostrils flared so wide she could have vacuumed the driveway. Disrespect
What's the flag
to
do?
community officers is a citation-worthy offense. She barked. Community officers.
I'll grab it here soon. I'm first to find me a couple items.
You mean you and the unpaid Chuck
Some
E.
start off
Cheese
money, I can tell you that if I grab it.
Brent waved from the golf cart like
Check
a
your map.
backup dancer
A marked
in
a
a
point
failed
containing
boy
enemy intel
Karen
nearby.
stormed off like she
Capture it for
wasn't done.
information on the
That
next gas
weekend, we
spread.
hosted Ryan's birthday party.
I'm heading over to that.
Backyard cookout. Some friends.
That's
photos,
100 meters.
Music at normal volume. That didn't stop Karen from sending a cease.
I want the
and desist
cash.
letter, printed on faux letterhead and shoved under our fence. Unlawful gathering exceeding decibel limits. Suspected underage loitering. Civil escalation pending. I called the HOA president, Gary, to ask if these were real calls. He sighed like a man who hadn't slept in weeks and whispered, "No, but if I say that out loud, she threatens to recall them. Karen had her own flavor of tyranny. Overbearing, erratic,
Dude, listen.
and always looking for her next target. Ryan just happened to be
Hey, I got a dude here.
She started warning other parents.
They got me.
The irony, he was
Thought the thing was unmuted. How do I unmute my mic?
What she did to Chuck, even her staunchest HOA sympathizers.
I forgot to unmute mic and stuff. Okay, now I got my mic. Hello.
Flanking her like mall cop minions. They claimed Ryan was in willful violation of residential occupancy timing, whatever that meant, and declared he was being detained for neighborhood safety processing. Before Ryan could react, Dale reached for his arm like they had any legal power. And in broad daylight, on our own property, they dragged my son down the walkway toward the golf cart.
Oh, I'm up.
"You can't do this," he shouted, twisting free for a second before being yanked again.
Let's see how I go.
Screamed back. Oak Ridge Compliance Act Section 5.
I'm gonna try my best to survive this gulag.
Enforcement is subject to citizen detainment. That's when I stepped outside and saw my son being shoved into a golf cart by two
Oh, hello, dude.
in dollar store uniforms. I shouted his name. The neighbors froze. Phones came out. And still, Karen barked orders like she was conducting a felony arrest instead of a kidnapping. "You're gonna regret this." Just laughed.
No, again? Bro, I shot him!
"You're not special, kid." But she didn't know just how special he was. She didn't know who she just laid hands on. Because
you have to get me back again, like an idiot I am. I never survive a gulag.
Michael Davis, the actual police chief of our city. And when the chief found out, Karen would realize her fake cop fantasy was about to meet some very real consequences. Karen always wanted to feel powerful, but on that bright Saturday afternoon,
Intel point captured. Great work.
Darn it, I won't be revived.
How to write incident reports. I was already on the phone with the police, not 911. I had
okay.
the chief.
Can you try and buy me back?
I didn't need to explain much. I said one sentence. Karen just
I don't know where any oh, there is that. Yeah, there's a station right there.
Then a dangerous, calm voice. "I'll be there in 5." But it didn't even take that long.
How do you make a waypoint at the buying station?
Came rolling into Oak Ridge Estates with full sirens, tires crunching over pristine HR-maintained
I think it's
gravel.
marked.
Karen didn't notice. She was too busy yelling at Ryan about harboring attitude. But the moment those real cops stepped out, sunglasses
It's
glinting
in circle.
the neighborhood stood still.
Oh, never mind, you found one.
Approached slowly.
Thank you.
Is there a reason you're restraining a minor without cause, ma'am?
I'm gonna try and work on buying a gulag coin. I need to buy a gulag coin, so I make sure I buy another if you can buy yourself a gulag.
Community detainment for HOA code subsection. Stop.
Squad mates in the gulag. If they survive, they redeploy.
Head for my waypoint.
It's down to you, soldier. Bring the win home. Your squad mate is belly up. They're returning to base. Friendly loadout drops on the way. inbound. Safe zone relocated.
Got some loot here. Flanking here.
This is the front man.
Disregard. Cancel last.
On to the next game.
The neighborhood like some HOA
I'm gonna keep my mic unmuted.
We were within our rights, she began, but he raised a hand. Let me stop you right there.
At least
You're not only
mute it
not
from
within
here.
your rights, you might be within legal jeopardy.
Like, I'm
You
trying to
impersonated law
mute
enforcement,
PlayStation camera
performed
mic.
an unlawful
There we
detainment,
go.
and possibly committed assault. Karen's lips quivered. But the bylaws... Lady, said officer number 2, you're about to find out that HOA rules don't beat the Constitution. Chief Davis turned to Ryan. You okay? Yeah, Ryan shrugged. They ride like maniacs.
You wanna drive a car?
Squad's in the safe zone.
Out of the car.
Gas
You're
is
riding in
closing
my
in.
cruiser next time, the chief muttered, then turned back to Karen. Ma'am,
I'll drive.
please place the clipboard on the ground and step away from the golf cart. What?
Here, get in.
Under arrest? She gasped.
You wanna snipe from a roof?
But you're definitely being investigated. One officer told me
From the back.
Brent,
From the back.
tried to walk away, but stopped gently with, Sir,
I am full speeding away.
Karen finally exploded. I was trying to keep the neighborhood safe. You're a menace, someone muttered from the crowd. You're a power-hungry bully, said Mrs. Langley, the oldest resident.
Wanna stop here?
I thought this was a
And take this other faster car?
not some lawless jungle.
I gotta pop my armor back on.
Chief Davis said, which means we actually
I'll
have
drive.
laws.
I'll drive back there.
And as the faint flashing lights of her HOA golf cart still blinked red and blue behind her, Karen's little HOA dictatorship began to
Okay,
crumble.
I'm gonna go in with my car.
Citation letter. She had finally gotten the attention she craved, but it wasn't the kind she could laminate and file. Karen had always operated under the assumption that everyone in the neighborhood was
Found him.
I'll run along. What she hadn't calculated was that one of her targets might come from a family whose influence
can't get
didn't
out.
stop at the end of
There
the
you go.
night. When Chief Davis calmly told her, "You zip-tied my son," it wasn't a threat.
Shock charge
It was
deployed.
a statement of fact. A red flag waving over a pit she didn't know she'd already fallen into. The gravity didn't hit her all at once. At first, she laughed it off, even tried to flirt, saying, I didn't recognize him in those basketball shorts.
Hello?
You know how kids are. The officers didn't laugh. Not even close. Ryan stood beside his father, arms still crossed. Watching
They still
her
there?
follow with the quiet satisfaction of someone who knew this was only the beginning. Are we seriously making
Okay.
this a big...
Look ahead! Help me out! Got a buy station here.
Gas is moving New safe zone located. They hit us hard that time. Dust yourself off, regroup, and get back out there.
Got some loot here.
Symbolism?
Can you?
It was a statement. She yelled. He was being aggressive. Aggressive. Ryan said.
Do you want to go multiplayer?
With my cousin, showing him our new porch light. Karen's face twisted.
Or you want to go another round?
And found a rusty nail inside. He looked suspicious.
One more round?
She shouted. And sarcastic. Chief Davis stepped forward. Let me be clear. You targeted my son. You publicly harassed him. You organized an illegal detainment using fake authority. And now you're trying to gaslight an entire neighborhood.
I can't believe we just got shot like that.
Karen cried. Actually,
that's gay. How they... I don't even know how to make that strong of weapons. I have barely strong weapons at my loadouts. I'm gonna make a weapon.
Rental properties, he replied, shrugging. Also, my wife made me.
I'm gonna use this weapon.
Funny you say that, said Officer Reyes, pulling out a folder. We just got tipped off this morning. Some anonymous source dropped off copies of HO emails.
3-shot SMG.
Venmo receipts where you paid Brent and Dale neighborhood patrol
mystical gift.
That was a reimbursement.
And then knife.
For gas. And diet Dr.
I want to
Pepper.
keep my usual.
Well, said Reyes, opening the folder wider. You labeled one of the payments covert patrol bonus. Another one says bribe for vote. That's obviously a joke. Karen said, sweating like a busted sprinkler. We were just trying to maintain order. I'm practically a public servant. Except you're not, Chief Davis said calmly. You're a resident. One who just crossed a line no clipboard or polyester polo can defend. That's when Ryan, who had been mostly silent through this chaos, stepped forward and said, she's been harassing half the neighborhood for months. I'm just the one who finally got zip-tied. He's lying, Karen blurted. He's always had a bad attitude. Ask anyone.
I think I got a sniper, right? My sniper should be good. And I got a 3-shot SMG equipped for secondary. You ready to go again?
The city asking if they can get a restraining order against
I'm gonna do line.
We counted 12.
I just wanna get my skins.
And one of them came from
I'm gonna equip my front man because it's like it blends into the surroundings if there's plat.
I just wanted community service credit for college. You're 27. Karen snapped. Still counts, Ryan whispered. By now, neighbors were clapping. Not for Karen, but for the slow, clever section of her fake empire. One man even brought out popcorn. Chief Davis turned to the crowd. If anyone else has been harassed, threatened, or unlawfully cited by this self-proclaimed task force, we'd like to file a full report. Hands shot up like it was a game show. She fined me for having solar lights, someone yelled. She said my bird bath was a mosquito hazard, shouted.
There we go.
She took a photo of my 8-year-old's lemonade stand and called it an unauthorized beverage vendor. Karen screamed, I was protecting our values. Chief Davis nodded. And now,
see how annoying this can get, and I hope we don't get sprayed in the back
Karen's
once again.
Looking for support. But even Dale had vanished, probably pretending to be part of a hedge.
It's how people play. It's just I'm a multiplayer person. I play a certain way. If I hop on Call of Duty Mobile, go Battle Royale, I usually win with a spear, killing everyone with just a spear. But that's because I'm more skilled, because I play of higher value of a game.
Cop games with real cop kids, the fallout isn't symbolic. It's legal, swift, and very, very real.
Okay, let's try to see what the SMG can do against armor.
Especially when that room was a neighborhood Facebook group. But after zip-tying a police chief's son and watching the community she once ruled with HOA commanders turn on her like a bad HOA-sponsored potluck, Karen went into full-blown PR mode. And by PR mode, I mean wildly unhinged damage control that made everything worse. Her first move, a 1,200-word Facebook post with a watch page title.
Bro, I cracked the armor with 3 bullets, so it takes 6 bullets to kill someone.
I did not assault anyone. I conducted a safety deterrence maneuver. The comments exploded with a noise. Mrs. Langley replied, "You tackled a child."
Okay, let's get in.
Cart, Karen. Another neighbor added, "You're not Batman, Karen. You're a cross."
I need to try to use much money and better weapons as I can.
Matched the description of a suspicious youth seen loitering with hostile.
I'm doing the front man this round.
What that description was, Karen responded, "Wearing a hoodie, standing still."
Man, how do you get so much good skins?
Oak Ridge tranquility. Someone replied with a gif of SpongeBob aggressively blinking. Next, she sent out hand-folded apology notes. Sort of. The notes began with,
"Where to go?"
Probably not you, but just in case. And ended with a quote from her own fake badge motto. Compliance is peace. By Tuesday, she had printed full-size posters of herself in uniform, smiling awkwardly next to a quote that read, "Bravery is misunderstood until needed." She taped them to the community mailbox. They were down within the hour. Someone had replaced them with screenshots of her yelling at Ryan, paired with captions like, "Live, laugh, lawless." Karen then attempted a press release, emailing a local news station claiming she was a whistleblower facing backlash for exposing HOA.
She stole the bread.
The news team forwarded the email straight to Chief Davis, who replied, "She zip-tied my kid for FaceTiming. She's not deep throat. She's just a nosy neighbor with zip ties." Karen then pivoted to legal.
I didn't leave it down.
She told anyone who'd
I didn't even eat no bread with my sausages. I ate them by themselves. Or brats.
When questioned on what law that fell under, she said, "Karen's Law. Gary, the HOA president, finally had enough." He sent a formal neighborhood-wide email.
So I hope my channel mic's still working.
She does not speak for us. The email included attachments of the actual HOA bylaws, each one highlighted to show
my channel mic working.
The community's group
I can hear you.
Turns out there is no rule about flamingo count after Memorial Day.
I can hear you.
For parking my truck facing the
Can you hear me on my channel?
That's not even a thing. Even Brent, her former sidekick, finally spoke up in the comments. She told me we'd get a real badge if we finished 50 hours of 12 sweeps. I thought I was doing a riot, but Karen wasn't. Oh no, her piece to resistance came in the form of a hastily organized emergency HOA town hall. No one invited her to host it, but she showed up with a portable speaker, a whiteboard, and 5 dozen homemade mugs. It's time to remind ourselves what community means. She declared to the 10 confused neighbors who showed
Try to win that.
Goods. Her speech was riddled with metaphors comparing herself to George Washington, Joan of Arc, and occasionally Batman again. "I'm not saying I'm a hero," she said while writing "heroism equals order plus sacrifice" on the board. "But history will remember those who acted when others cowered." Someone in the back asked, "Did history remember the lady who zip-tied a teenager for washing his car?" Karen pointed at them with a muffin and shouted, "False narrative." Then the projector she brought crashed to the ground mid-PowerPoint titled, "How Ryan Threatened Community Order." The slideshow froze on a photo of Ryan petting a golden retriever. The dog looked safer than most HOA
Did you win it?
meetings. The town hall
Or you just
dissolved into
you're not in
laughter
one
and a
yet.
few leftover blueberry muffins. Karen stood alone, fists clenched, repeating, "They'll understand one day."
How much money do I got? I got 4,000.
But every local attorney she contacted declined. One wrote back, "We don't represent HOA cosplay tyrants." Another simply replied with,
"Okay, mark me a buy station. I got 4,000.
Then came the cease and desist against Karen. Chief Davis, now moving beyond father mode and into full civic response mode, issued a formal complaint backed by 5 families in the neighborhood, citing unlawful detainment, harassment, impersonation of law enforcement, and community endangerment. The city launched an investigation, and that's when the real
I think I have 4,000.
Turns out, Karen had claimed HOA reimbursement for her fake uniforms, including 5 sets of tactical pants labeled Mission Critical Neighborhood Gear. She also funneled HOA petty cash into office.
No, I don't. I think I am some short.
New patio furniture and a ring light. Her defense? Community visibility is replaced. Her laptop, confiscated by investigators.
I mean, do they?
Spreadsheet titled compliance.
Yeah, I'm gonna die because most of our lobby people are hackers, most likely.
There was even a column labeled non-autumnal decor offenders. Investigators were stunned and unmuted. One city official was overheard saying,
No, right there by the mother.
Police state out of a whole heap.
Oh, I'm gonna have to fight this.
Claiming medical exemption for post-vigilante burnout. She brought a neck brace to her interview with city officials. The brace was on backwards. I have suffered, she told them. For this neighborhood, they agreed. Just not in the way she thought. Karen ruled over just like a suburban dictator. Armed with a clipboard, fake bylaws, and just enough fear-mongering to keep people in line. The second her golf cart coup went public, the mask cracked. And once Ryan's story hit the local news, complete with security footage, photos of the fake badge, and Karen's now infamous safety deterrence maneuver. First, the uprising was passive. Halloween decorations started appearing full-blown and flamed.
Bro, it's no fair!
Issued a pumpkin protocol memo the year prior limiting displays to neutral glows. Someone put up a scarecrow.
I'm getting tired of Warzone.
Name tag that read, Karen, enforcer of nothing. Gary, the HOA president who had once wilted under Karen's glare.
I am tired of Warzone. I am already getting so mad.
He admitted in a neighborhood.
You want ready to go multiplayer? What?
And that's when the gloves came off.
I still got 1 hour.
The Oak Ridge Liberty Coalition. A slightly dramatic name for a block planning committee. But they
I know.
They organized meetings, printed real copies of the HOA charter, and started circulating a petition to recall Karen from the board. In less than 24 hours, they had over 75% of the neighborhood signed up. Even Brent's mom added her name.
Warzone is annoying.
Sorry about my son. Karen tried to counter by going door to door with her own petition titled Restore Order. She was met with closed doors,
you ready?
Smiles, and, in one case, a motion-activated sprinkler. You're trespassing.
Okay, so I'm not going to work on the skateboard because it's the most annoying.
A few houses later, Karen snapped and screamed. You'll all
I'm gonna do the katana.
start roaming unchecked. The clip made it to TikTok.
I need at least a few more.
Views, and the hashtag Karen Commandos was trending.
5 kills with single match.
Smelling momentum, dropped flyers in mailboxes inviting everyone
and
to
then get 50 kills with
HOA Reclamation Barbecue Bash. It wasn't just a block party, it was a rebellion with ribs. Neighbors who hadn't spoken.
Then I can get a golden diamond katana. What's a diamond? Oh, I love that diamond katana. I'm gonna try my best to unlock a diamond. I'm gonna go and reactivate my mic. There we go.
A karaoke machine and sang, "I will survive."
You handle the doorway while I go around on the other side of the map.
Amidst all the revelry,
so I gotta go on a stabbing spree.
was happening. Community. People swapped gardening tips. Veterans offered to repaint fences. Teenagers volunteered to help Mrs. Langley with her groceries. It was everything Karen said she wanted. Neighborhood unity, pride, cooperation. But without the fear, rules, or laminated violation notices. The irony? The community had never been more
Nice,
compliant,
not hard to unlock ammos for. It's a one-shot kill no matter what. Except for HVTs are a two-shot.
Karen sat in her dimly lit living room with her blinds half drawn, doom scrolling through Facebook and muttering.
Oh, it's Face Off. So yeah, it's just gonna be, I think,
Don't be fooled by these anarchists.
the I just said the names and I already forgot them.
One neighbor replied,
HVTs.
"It's a pot."
HVTs. It's gonna be HVTs.
Another commented,
I think so.
On Monday, the recall vote was official. Karen had been removed from the board unanimously. Gary gave an unexpected flare.
Incoming lethal.
Karen Henderson has been stripped of all HOA roles, titles,
Tactical incoming.
appointed Supreme Championship. She tried to appeal the decision with a document titled Emergency
Camper.
It was 4 pages of bold font.
Darn SMGs.
This shit ain't working. We lost the advantage.
Board meeting.
Watch it.
In Gary's backyard.
Throwing tactical.
That. Oh my God, the Uzis. Through the smoke. Imagine that.
Throwing tactical.
Now reformed. Offered to return his badge and issued a handwritten apology for life. Dear neighbor, I was dumb. I thought we were helping.
They are camping.
Using lethal. Throwing tactical.
Created a short film.
Tactical incoming. Tactical incoming.
It was animated with paper cuts, narrated by a British AI voice, and ended with Karen being exiled.
I am whipping out the SMG. Juggernaut.
Her golf cart.
I really don't like to use the sweaty SMG. I don't.
Where someone gently places you're not in charge anymore, but the best part, the people Karen once terrorized will finally thrive.
Incoming lethal.
Good with the pistol.
Mrs. Langley became Gary, emboldened, finally proposed real amendments to the HOA. Once based on transparency, not tyranny.
Using lethal.
Fear and fake authority, with lack of and as the newly united Oak Ridge estates continue to bloom,
Incoming lethal.
the memory of a cautionary tale told to new residents. Seems people whispered, that's where the clipboard queen once lived. But don't worry. Or at least that's what the restraining orders said. For someone obsessed with rules, once the community ousted her from the HOA, and the city received the official...
I died to a Molotov because I accidentally walked in there. And dude is spraying like he's a god.
The investigation began modestly enough.
Oh, flip!
The city expected to be a few
Incoming lethal.
Still got it.
The first red flag. Karen Henderson, Director of Urban Peacekeeping.
They are camping.
This is the way of the
Terminal files. And most damaging, secret stuff to not... Inside was a spreadsheet labeled Compliance Fine Tracker File, listing over 30 families who have been
tactical incoming.
The problem...
People are annoying.
Worse, payment method column rate
Time on that.
Cash App, Venmo, gift card, Target Preferred. One note even said, Mr. Willis paid with 2 Olive Garden gift cards. Partial credit. Karen had been operating full
Throwing tactical.
charging fake funds
Tactical
and
incoming.
profits under the guise of community safety restoration efforts.
How they their guns do so much?
Using equipment.
Confiscated items.
Enemy shooter.
Sprinkler that had mysteriously vanished from the Jenkins front yard. Everything tagged, cataloged, and stored like evidence in some.
They're gearing up for a final push. Hope you left some in the tank.
Karen had installed wireless cameras around the
Incoming lead.
without permission. Tiny devices taken from bird habits, even known with suspiciously realistic eyes. One USB drive contained safety footage labeled Operation Garbage Can, where she recorded neighbors reacting without the designated voice window she had invented. The city's firefighters lost their collective minds. This is a reviewing hours of people picking up news.
I don't believe in bad. Just bad.
Bruh, I can't believe that. How's our SMG so good? Yeah, this man's using the micro Uzis I could use, obviously. I have them myself. And he still has that golden model pistol. I have that, but I have it modeled. Dude, I have the same weapons I could obviously use. I just choose not to. Cause Uzis suck, the pistols I already have. I call cap on some of their shots.
And a line item for combat wear. The investigator reported
okay.
Straight before highlighting it on the level and faxing it directly to the audit division. Meanwhile, more neighbors came forward. One claimed Karen charged them a seasonal light pollution fee because their Christmas display was visible from a non-holiday angle. Another had screenshots of Venmo payments marked discretion fee. Forget about the hydrangeas. When asked under oath what that meant, Karen said, "Some plants are triggering." The tipping point came when city officials subpoenaed security footage from Karen's doorbell cam.
Already?
Only to discover she had used it to record board meetings and spliced the videos together into fake minutes that showed her opponents nodding along as she passed fake amendments. She even added applause tracks. The HOA's treasurer, a quiet librarian named Phyllis, wept when she learned Karen had been forging her signature on expense forms to authorize neighborhood vehicle upgrades, aka replacing the golf cart's hubcaps with spinning rims. And the receipts didn't stop there. Karen had submitted invoices from fake vendors like Civic Uniforms or Us and Peacekeeper Fuel Depot, both traced back to a single burner email and a Venmo account under the name ComplyQueen99. The state licensing board launched an investigation into her self-described neighborhood enforcement certificate, which turned out to be a Photoshop job using a YMCA babysitter course template. And when authorities searched Karen's home with a warrant, they found a corkboard covered in red string and printed headshots of every HOA member, some with X's over the eyes, and one labeled, "Gary the Weak Must Be Watched." The final nail? Her group chat titled Inner Circle with Brent, Dale, and two sock puppet accounts clearly created by Karen herself, Civic Soldier _1, and Justice for Oak Ridge. In one message, Civic Soldier _1 wrote, "Karen, you are so brave and noble. We should consider nightly curfews." Karen replied, "Excellent idea, Civic Soldier. Truly, we are the backbone of this neighborhood." The chat was signed, timestamped, and loaded with emojis. Charges began to stack. Fraud, wire fraud, unlawful surveillance, impersonation of law enforcement, misuse of funds, and something called theft by ornamental gnome. The DA's office confirmed they were preparing a formal indictment. Karen was served papers mid-morning while watering her roses. She claimed the documents were fake news, then attempted to issue the process server a citation for trespassing with malicious paperwork. It didn't work. She was scheduled to appear in court the following month. Meanwhile, the city stripped her of any community influence, revoked her permits, and fined her for unauthorized use of security insignia. Her once proud, laminated badge was now on display in city halls. What not to do with authority bulletin board. As news of the scandal spread, HOA leaders from nearby neighborhoods began circulating Karen's name as a cautionary tale. One HOA president even presented a PowerPoint titled, "Don't be a Karen, a guide to not turning your community into a surveillance state." And while Karen maintained her innocence, no one cared. Because the truth was this: she hadn't just broken rules, she broke trust. And not even a clipboard, a walkie-talkie, or a laminated name tag could protect her from the law she pretended to enforce. Karen had spent years building her little kingdom. One laminated citation, one fake fine, one passive-aggressive email at a time. But when the investigations wrapped, indictments dropped, and subpoenas started hitting her inbox like fireworks on the 4th of July, her empire collapsed faster than a pop-up gazebo in a windstorm. First to go was her official position on the HOA board. Though she'd already been recalled by neighborhood vote, the state's attorney general weighed in with a scorching letter officially stripping her of any involvement with public-facing community boards, citing her flagrant misuse of power,
Refund barrel.
deliberate impersonation
Okay.
of civil authority.
I'm right now working on editing my 1911
clipboard dependency.
GC45, not 1911.
Allowed at the HOA's next meeting while sipping lemonade, pausing at the
Higher accuracy. Terminate the camo, because I want the normal.
She wasn't invited. Next came the civil suits. 5 neighbors, Ryan included, filed individual claims for harassment, emotional distress, and in some cases, petty theft.
Not that lime glass. I am right now working on my Squid Game loadout.
Wanted compensation for the misery tax Karen levied during Easter. The
What is that?
Browns, whose home Karen once cited for improper festive lighting distribution, sued just to make a
Okay, that changes my pistol for all of my guns, so I don't know how well the GC45 is going to do with the normal form. But this is going to be my last match for the day. Then I'm going to hop off.
In official documents, Karen said
Okay.
something about maintaining aesthetic consistency, but the judge cut her off. Ma'am, you zip-tied a teenager for FaceTiming. This isn't aesthetic. It's absurd. She was ordered to pay restitution totaling over $18,000. That figure included fake fines collected, HOA funds misused, and a mandatory $500
This is my last match.
to a neighborhood
Alright,
youth
dude, hit
basketball
me up,
program,
dude.
which Ryan now
you, bro.
helped run.
Go run,
But the
dude.
most poetic financial
Good
gut
run.
punch came from the IRS.
Well,
Okay.
For self-reported civic compensation. They
Shut
found
up,
not
dude.
only undeclared income,
No.
but a list of fake deductions so audacious.
And I'm not your dude. I am
Among them, emotional
literally
labor,
Bendy.
$900 per MO, leadership bonus, self-awarded, and a $3,200 stealth operations fee she paid to herself through a Venmo alias. The audit
Okay, let's
ended
see
with
how good my
Karen
weapons
owing
can
more
do.
than she had. Her bank account was frozen. Her car, a 2015 Kia Soul with a Civic Duty bumper sticker, was repossessed. But perhaps the most humiliating moment came when the HOA golf cart, lovingly dubbed Unit 1, was impounded by the city. The siren lights were confiscated.
You ready?
Its tires were flat, and the quote Karen had sharpened across the hood: "Respect is mandatory."
Oh, this is a good one for melee.
Replaced with a sticky note that read, "So is sanity." Her compliance.
This is like one of the best maps for meleeing and regular
Brett
guns.
vanished into obscurity and later resurfaced as an intern at a local animal shelter. Dale moved to a different county altogether. When asked by the press if he regretted his decision, he said,
It only took 2 bullets? Oh no. Oh no.
Karen's home.
2 bullets to kill the pistol. Oh yes, best gun ever.
Once the cleaners in Oak Ridge began, grass overgrew, paint peeled. No one was there to see the shade anymore.
The longest journey.
Oh, I just made the best pistol.
Neighbors held back laughter as the letter was delivered to her door. The very door where she once posted dozens of her own photos.
Mike Tyson's special pistol.
Filed an appeal, mailed in 5 pages of evidence that included blurry photos of teenagers, scooters, and a graph of neighborhood and
2 girl that killed clams.
The city clerk mailed her back. You're not in charge anymore. The neighborhood didn't just survive Karen's downfall, it flourished. New board elections brought
I think those SMGs are coming a thing now, the spam. Boss's orders.
Incoming lethal.
Hostile sighted. Under their leadership, residents created a real neighborhood watch, hosted block cleanup days, and reallocated funds to build a proper plan. The Liberty Coalition transformed into a standing committee for community outreach. Ryan was invited to speak at civic engagement and the dangers of unchecked authority. Resulting in line, sometimes the greatest threat to a neighborhood isn't crime.
Throwing tactical.
Crowd roared. The mayor chuckled. Karen meanwhile became Oak Ridge folklore. Parents used her as a cautionary tale.
If you have the Squid Game SMGs, use them. That's what they're using.
HOA enforcer. One team made a rap track titled Zip Tie Tyrant, briefly charted on SoundCloud. Karen tried to reclaim her image.
I see
Started a
you.
blog in which she claimed she was targeted by the deep.
It's like the new meta.
Community preservation circle in a neighboring neighborhood.
I really don't care for them because they suck, but everyone's using.
Public act of defiance, writing a manifesto suggesting her own zoning district title. It was laughed out of the inbox and later used in a training session. Karen's reign had ended not but with a parody an IRS and a homemade sign in her yard reading, "I do not represent Oak Ridge. It was a neighborhood for her laminated rules. Incoming community display case next to a platform.
That gun absolutely sucks.
And that, as they say, was that.
I'm gonna rush in with the 12 gauge. Yeah, I'm using a 12 gauge.
Technically misdemeanors, but that didn't mean she walked away clean. The judge, clearly unimpressed by her attempt to cross examine a neighbor using a printed copy of her own HOA commandments, sentenced her to 240 hours. But not just any service. Supervised service under the direction of the city's Community Rehabilitation Initiative. And who did the city assign to oversee Oak Ridge's volunteer corps? None other than Ryan. Yet, the same kid she said in the neighborhood now held the clipboard. And unlike her, he actually earned it. When Karen heard the news, she started with, "You're telling me that boy, the hostile, hoodie-wearing,
You're planning on giving up. Do it now. If
not,
get to work."
The judge wouldn't even blink. You should be grateful.
Bro, I am trying to edit this loadout.
Karen showed up 42 minutes late
using a quick
t-shirt and pointed to a garbage.
Hate this.
Start at the south cul-de-sac.
Why is that boss orders SMG so good?
Karen glared. I was friendly. Sure. But go on. Her task for the week included scraping gum off the sidewalk.
I hate that SMG.
Repainting fire hydrants with neutral HOA signs. And, oh yes, removing every illegal surveillance device she ever installed. This is city property now, Ryan explained, pointing at the creepy birdhouse camera outside the Jenkins place. So you can either take it down